to shall we start, right, man?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so hi everyone. A very good morning. Welcome you all to the Sitecore CDP training session 3, wherein we will be looking onto the implementation aspects of Sitecore CDP. So me, along with Garima, will be presenting this session. And yeah, and thank you all for attending this.
Yes, thank you, Chirag, for this introduction. So, in this session, we are going to see how we can use the Stream APIs with our website. So, yeah, some introduction about me. So, I'm working as a site code developer here last 3.5 years and total experience of 7.5. I have a full stack experience of working on SXA and then JSS and some on XM Cloud. And in free time, I love to watch cricket, irrespective of which country, which format, or which gender it is. I'll just love to watch cricket. Over to you, Chirag.
Yeah, thank you, Garima. Myself, Chirag, I have like over 10 years of experience in Sitecore, and like I have extensive experience working on Content Hub, CDP, and Personalize, and Sitecore XP and Sitecore XM Cloud. And also, like I'm working as a full stack developer with experience working on all the front end technologies as well. And yeah, during my free time, I like love to spend time with my dog. And yeah, yeah. So the agenda for this session today is like we will be covering how basically we will be integrating the beacon script, basically the CDP in our websites. Yeah, whether it is any kind of website which is hosted on any kind of platform, it's irrespective of Sitecore. We can integrate the Sitecore CDP because it's the power of Sitecore composable, right? So we'll be looking on to how we can leverage the power of Sitecore CDP and integrated in any website, irrespective of the platform it is based on. And the second part we'll be looking at like how will be like once we have done the integration, injected the script in the website for the CDP, how we can send the events from that particular website to the Sitecore CDP. So as in the previous sessions, we covered like uh, we in the last session we covered like we have a various REST APIs to send multiple events, yeah, and like say send identity events, send alert events, and all those kind of events which are getting triggered on the website through a Sitecore Stream API. So we'll be looking onto the Stream API in this session, and we'll be looking like how we can integrate those from the Sitecore website to the Sitecore CDP. Yeah, so first we will cover the Sitecore ingesting the CDP script in the website. Yeah. So as you all know, like sorry. Uh, so basically, whenever like for any website, we are injecting the beacon or the beacon script for any Sitecore CDP. So this is a code snippet which we need to have attached in in your like view file or in or any kind of file which you your website and the layout file you can attach that. And so the major it requires four kind of values, four kind of placeholder keys which varies according to the CDP tenant that hmm, your environment is hosted on. So those four keys are client key, target URL, point of sale, and the cookie domain. Yeah, so the client key, as we covered in the earlier session, it needs to be obtained from the app settings whenever you log into the CDP tenant, so that from that you can obtain the client key. So the client key will uniquely recognize like which tenant the data should be inserted to. So like if a client has two environments, let's say non-prod and the production, right? So the client key will vary for non-prod as well as production environment. So we need to make sure like this client key we set as an environmental variable, right, in your code snippet, so that it can be varied according to the environment. So UAT will have the different client key and the production will have the different client key. So this will make sure like to whatever environment we are targeting, the data goes into that CDP environment. Second is the target URL. So this is basically the API endpoint or the JavaScript endpoint where that script will be injected from. So we need to have this target URL. we will see the exact value when Garima will be presenting his demo. So you'll be seeing like what the exact value for this target URL will be, but it will be a constant. This will not vary according to the environments, right? So this you can either keep it at your code level, but this key will not vary according to the environmental setting. The third is the point of sale. Yeah, this is the most important key which we need to make sure we set at the initial life cycle of the project. So this point of sale basically governs for which, because we have multiple sites, right? And we want to make sure like the site data, right, is separated by the uh, so for example, like you have five sites within your multi-site TNet, and you would like to separate that data, right? Because you don't want all your data to get reside on for all the five sites at one place, right? So you can make sure like you have a point of sale placeholder, which will be different for each site. So this point of sale will help you to distinguish the data coming from each website. Let's say like you have uh, ENGB website and or a different website for different brand, right? So you can have a different point of sale for that brand. Yeah. And then lastly is the cookie domain. So the cookie domain is basically like for example, your site is hosted on let's say lego.com or any professional.com, right? So that subdomain, uh, like for example, your sites are in us.l'orealprofessional.com and uk.l'orealprofessional.com, right? So the subdomain, which will be l'orealprofessional.com, needs to be added in this cookie domain. So that subdomain can be entered in this cookie domain placeholder. Yeah, so we need to make sure like cookie domain, it's the subdomain, like it's targeting as a subdomain, not the exact host name which we have. Because if you target the host name, then that beacon script will not work for the other website which you have. So yeah, so we need to make sure that the cookie domain is set as a placeholder. So these are the four settings which needs to be initialized when we are initializing the beacon script. And then lastly, we have the other settings, which we'll be discussing more uh, on the later slides, which are the cookie expiry days. So basically, as you all know, in the earlier session, we covered whenever we start the session, so there is a browser ID. So that's a session ID, right? So how much time that session ID will be valid, the expiry of that session ID will be determined from this cookie expiry days. And then other these parameters we will cover on the next sessions. So this is how basically once you initialize your beacon in your Sitecore CDP tenant, so you will be good to go to inject the data. So this will basically provide us an engage object, which is at the window.engage.init. So this engage object, which is available after this beacon script is initialized, can be used to inject any kind of interactive interaction data or any kind of data extension data, so which we discussed in the earlier sessions. This engage object has all the SDK available to inject the data from Sitecore from your website to the Sitecore CDP. Yeah, so this is a kind of a JavaScript, but if you use the React SDK for this engage, so those SDK functions will be automatically available. So you don't need to uh, write complete kind of functions and for your endpoint. So you can just use the React or the Next.js SDK for the Sitecore CDP website, and then you can leverage those SDK functions. Yeah. So currently, like what we have done is like we have integrated this beacon script on the XM Cloud website, which Garima will be demonstrating. And so how this the journey looks like. So basically the data flow, this picture depicts how the data flows goes from your site code, from your browser when the user is requesting a URL on the website to the Sitecore CDP. Right? So whenever the first request goes from your browser, so whenever the user hits your website, so it goes to first to the Sitecore XA website and gets the HTML response. Now, since you have injected the CDP beacon in your Sitecore XM website, so this will send the request to Sitecore CDP, right? So this Sitecore, the request sent from your browser to Sitecore CDP will return the JavaScript payload. In this JavaScript payload will be having the browser ID. So basically the first request will go from your browser, from your CDP beacon script which has been initialized. So that will be a request for the through the endpoints which we covered in the earlier session. That will request for a browser ID from Sitecore CDP. Then Sitecore CDP will in turn return the browser ID in this step. And then we will use this browser ID which we have gathered in this step to send all the data, interaction data or identity data or any kind of data from your website to the Sitecore CDP. So this is how the data flow or the sequence diagram looks like when we are sending the data from Sitecore CDP from any website to Sitecore CDP. Sorry. And also like there's one of the major flows which comes where to the in wherever you are integrating Sitecore CDP website in in any of the project, which is like in the e-commerce website, as we all know, like we are adding the carts, right? Adding the items to the cart, and then we are like checking out, right? So this all flow can also be handled in Sitecore CDP, right? So like whenever like you like any e-commerce website, you generally go, you add the item to the cart, and then you confirm that, and then you go to the checkout step, and then the order is created, right? So this whole process is also possible in Sitecore CDP with the help of data events only. So we'll be looking on to how we can implement this complete order flow. As we all know, like there are multiple data schemas available in Sitecore CDP, which are used to store Sitecore data, which is one of the format is the data extension. Other format is in the form of event session, and the third format is using the order and the order items. So this flow, checkout flow in Sitecore CDP, is using the third format to store the data, which is in form of orders and the order items. Yeah. So whenever like these events, like suppose you have three items in your uh, in your order page, and they want to add those items to the cart. So we need to send particular events for those whenever like user clicks add item for any particular item. So we need to send an add event at that time, and then we need to send the confirm event, and then the lastly is the checkout event. So these events need to be executed in the order. First is add, and then second is the confirm, and third is the checkout event to make sure the order is created. If you don't follow this any of this step and miss any of these step at the journey, so the order at the last final stage will not be created. Yeah. So we need to make sure like this journey is followed. So whenever like, you are sending an add event in Sitecore CDP, we need to send a reference ID, which is nothing. It's just an order ID. It can be a like any random GUID which you need to generate. This order ID which you are generating at the add event needs to be same when you are sending the checkout event. So this we need to make sure. So there are basically some rules when we are sending the add event, confirm event, and checkout event. So to make sure that the order is successful. So the first rule is the reference ID sent on the add event should be the same as the reference ID sent on the checkout event. The second rule is whenever we are adding any item ID in the add event, right? So this item ID added in the add event should be the same as the item ID added in the confirm event. So whatever like item we are adding, item ID adding in the add event should be the same what we are confirming in the confirm event. So this should be same. And the third rule is basically so whenever like you have like suppose 10 items in your in which you want to add to the cart, so you need to send 10 add events. So you need to send multiple add events for adding all those items. So all the add events should point to the same order ID, because we want to make sure that all these 10 items are added at the same order level, right? So we need to make sure the all the add events are having the same order ID. So this will make like when Garima will be presenting the session. So this will be more clear on this, like on the rules which we have. And then the lastly is like when we are sending the confirm event, so that confirm event should be a single confirm event for all the items added to the cart. So this is how the complete flow will look like. So like let's say a user is coming onto your website. So he will like what we will do like for there are n items that will be added that needs to be added to the cart. So we need to send n add events. Basically, this n times the add events needs to be triggered, and then the all the events, the confirm event and the checkout event needs to be sent only once, right? So this confirm event will have all the item IDs added in this add event. And then finally the checkout event will have the order ID, which is the same we sent for this add item event. And then finally, once all this flow is completed, we have added the items to the cart, we have confirmed, and we have made the checkout. Okay. So then finally the order is placed in Sitecore CDP. Yeah. So basically, we need to make sure like we are following this journey to make sure the order is successful because we get like a lot of challenges while we integrating the order inside Core CDP. But once all these rules which we have stated here are followed, this will make sure like the order is successfully placed wherever like we are working on the e-commerce website or we are working on any kind of integration where we want to add the items and we want to confirm and check out so that the order is placed. We need to make sure all these rules are followed. And this picture depicts the complete as you know, like the Sitecore CDP is storing data, right? So there must be some background database which is storing that data in Sitecore CDP, right? So that is the data lake. So Sitecore internal CDP internally uses data lake, which stores the data in the Amazon S3 bucket to store the all the like guest properties or all the data extension properties or all the order and order items which I just covered in the last slides or all the sessions or the events. So here you see like we have a guest level and then one guest can have multiple sessions and then each session can have multiple events. The same, one guest can have one order or multiple order and then multiple orders will have multiple order line items or you can say multiple items added to the cart. So this is how the data. So at the top level will be the guest. Then at the second level we will have the sessions or the orders, and then at the third level we will have the events or the order items. The how this all this data gets related. Basically, there's a foreign key concept which like which we all know like how the data from one table gets linked to other table. It's basically using the foreign key mapping. So this this table or the order table, you store the guest reference to in the point to the guest, and similarly order item table store the order reference to map to the order. So this is how the backward mapping basically this order know like order item know like to from which order the item from which order that that event is generated, and that order guest reference helps us to know from which guest that order is placed. So this backward tracing is possible using this columns which the arrows which you are seeing here help us to know like the complete journey end to end. And this is very helpful when we are constructing the SQL queries to fetch the data, because otherwise if we don't understand this mapping, we won't be able to construct the SQL queries which are required when we are constructing the batch segmentation. So this is like one of the criteria which we which we need to understand while creating the batch segmentation or the SQL queries. But underneath, the data storage is in the form of the data lake, which is in the Amazon S3, which is stored in the Cypress CDP. And the like as I mentioned, like we have some additional parameters in Beacon script when we are injecting the Beacon script. So those are the like four parameters which we already told, like client key, target URL, POS. Hmm. And yeah, so and apart from that, there are some other parameters which are required when we are like these are kind of advanced parameters or required depending on like if you're integrating personalization on your website. So these other parameters need to be set. If I go back to that slide. Yeah. So here we saw like we have some other parameters like web personalization, true, for server-side cookie mode, and they include UTM parameters. So if I go to this slide now. Yeah. So when we want when we will be covering the site course personalization, and we would like to have personalization enabled on your website. So this web personalization parameter needs to be set true. Otherwise, the personalization rules which you will be setting on your XM Cloud website will not be working as expected. So we need to this web personalization parameter is by default false. So we need to set it as true so that personalization is enabled on the website. And the second parameter is include UTM parameters. Because sometimes, like whenever we hit any Google search and we click on the link, right? So these those links include UTM source, UTM medium, and UTM campaign, right? In the URL in the query string. And if you want like these parameters, whenever like users are coming from the marketing domain and they are directly landed to the page using this UTM source and UTM medium and the UTM campaign and other UTM parameters. And you want like whenever the events are getting triggered, like the page view event is getting triggered on the page. So these parameters should also be sent so that we know like from which marketing domain we are getting the more kind of interactions or more kind of hits on the website. So we can make sure like by setting this include UTM parameters as true. So these parameters will be automatically sent. So we don't need to do anything to set these UTM parameters when we are sending any kind of page view event to Sitecore CDP. So this with along with the page view event, these parameters would be automatically sent to the Sitecore CDP. And then the lastly is the force server cookie mode setting. This basically generally we what we are doing is we are integrating the Sitecore CDP beacon at the client side, right? Using the front end framework. But there are some requirements in which we need to create the cookie from the server side, right? So basically from the backend code. So that is also possible. So the Next.js SDK have this middleware to create the cookies. Basically, we need to inject this for server cookie mode as true. So this will make sure like the cookie is injected from the server rather than from the client side. So this is also the case like which can be used like if your front end website you don't want to have the cookies generated from there. So you can also use the Next.js middleware to generate the cookies from the server side. Yeah. So now Garima like will be like giving a walkthrough of all the data like journey which we have covered till now, like how we will be injecting the CDP beacon, as well how the orders will be created in Sitecore CDP. So yeah, over to you, Garima.
Thank you, Chirag. So I'll share my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So this is website which we have created. So website is created in the XM Cloud, and with the help of Next.js Starter Kit, we have hosted it on our Versal app. So whatever's Chirag have explained about the theory, we have engaged that CDP session here. So this is our homepage. So if a user comes, so I'll show you the inspect console. So for example, I go to the home page, then I go to the contact page, I go to the order page, and then I go to the home page. So we, as a visitor, I have visited 3 pages, and on that basis, I will get a browser ID, which already Chirag has explained. So this is your browser ID. So what this browser will do? So we have injected the code of page view. So whenever a user come to a website without login, a visitor is created in CDP session having this browser ID, and it will track every page wherever that user goes. So if I go to the guest CDP, make sure whenever you search, you will have this BID added, which is your browser ID, and it will create a visitor. So if I open this visitor, so currently, you can see we have used from the desktop device and it logged here. The properties and timeline are still not here because we have not converted it to the customer. It is currently a visitor only. So we have this session only. We don't have any property, no contact information. And if we look at the event viewer, we have the information like first event to the home page, then it goes to the contact page, then it goes to the order page, and then it goes to the home page. So you can track wherever that user is going, how much time you can consider time also from here, what time it will spending on that specific page, and that type is currently view. So we have created a visitor here. You can connect this with the, yes, I think second session where we have created a view event with the Postman API. Okay, now if I go back to my website, so we have the contact page. So here we will create a guest. Just if you take a real life example, it will be your login page. So user have seen all the pages, now they want to log in into your website, so you can log into your website, and this will create a guest in your uh, CDP. So I'll just add. So I think Ashutosh joined the first in this session, so I'll create a name of Ashutosh. I'll enter some number. Okay, so these are the details I want to fill in the identity with the help of email also. In the second session, Chirag explained you about identity rules which are required. So in this CDP, we have considered identity rule as email. So email is a required one. Email will be your first preference for the guest. So when I click on submit, I'll just close this and I click on the submit. Your guest is created and you will be redirected to order page. So now if I refresh this page, because this was your visitor at that time, it will convert it to the guest. It will not create a new guest. It will convert that visitor to the guest, so that you can track that before login also what he have visited, and after login whatever that detail. So you can see the same email now that visitor is now your customer identified as guest, and you can see the guest identified and then view the order page. So this is an identity event and this is your view event. If you have any question, you can write in the chat section. Okay. And if we go to the properties, now you have the email as well, you have phone number, and you have the gender also. We have many optional parameters you can pass here according to your project requirement, whatever you want to store about that uh, guest. We have identifier BXLP, which is email. So we have taken email as our identity rule. Okay. This was about your guest, identity guest. Now if I go to this card, so as already Chirag explained you about card, we have three options: add to cart, confirm, and checkout. We already seen this structure in Chirag's PPT, but I'll explain this. That first of all, we will create a add to cart. So what add to cart event do? Add to cart event create a product in your CDP. So for example, you have a shoes uh, section. So you have a shoes, you select two shoes, the color of shoes, the quantity of shoes, size of shoes, that all detail will come into the add of cart section. Here you will add your product detail, whatever product you want to add, whatever uh, information, extra information, that this person discount, and every information you can add in the add to cart. And these two buttons, confirm and checkout, these two buttons will just need to confirm that details are correct. We are not passing all the details in all three of event. We are just passing detail in the add to cart, and then confirm and checkout will have the item ID of this add to cart section. So what I'll do, I'll just add a order ID here. So I can have a random order ID. So for example, any user came, they have created add to cart, so it'll dynamically create a order ID. So what I'll do, I'll click on add to cart, item added to cart, then I click on confirm, and then I click on checkout event, and I go to my that user only. As we have created user by already this account, so the detail will go in this account only. Okay, good. So we have three. Now this is your add event. this is your confirm event, and this is your checkout event. You can see the order which we have given is now your order number 78. What this will do, this will create an order. Now let's understand what is this order. So this is called order line, and where you will have the information about what is ordered, what time it ordered, what is the order reference ID, which is common between your add to card and your order reference ID. What is the status? So we have different status. Currently it says purchased. You can have delivered. Sometimes your order also cancelled. So here you can pass the status as cancelled. We see that in code, whatever status we can pass in this. We have channel. Currently we are passing it from desktop, but I'll show one more space where we can pass this channel from mobile as well. Then we have item, one item, and then price. So if I open it, here you can see the point of sale, which already Chirag mentioned. We pass it the channel. And if you want to add any additional information that this thing is purchased on that day, this discount is added, this was the user, you can pass the additional information also. And here you can check the item information. So what is the quantity? So for example, you can have that in one order we have three different items of different quantity, so you can check that all details from this order line. This all will be sent in the event data at the time of add to cart. It's not sent at the time of checkout, or it's not sent at the time of confirm. Here we will just send the reference ID. All the details are sent to there. So if I check you, okay, here we have sent this product information, name, type, item ID. This was your item ID, right? And then we have reference ID, which is order number 78. This, uh, this object is created in the uh, code level. You can add some fields also. You can remove some fields also. Some required fields are you have to name, then item IDs are required, reference IDs are required, order date also required, and quantity and price. These things are required fields for adding in your product item. Okay, now this was about add to cart. If I again go to the confirm and show you the JSON, we just pass the item ID which we pass in the add to cart. So this is how this will connected to each other. It's the same item ID which we pass to the add to cart, but we pass send it to confirm. And when we check the
Just an
check,
additional point. So if you go back, Garima, in that.
this one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So here you see like product is an array. So it's an array of object. So whatever like items you add, like if you add 5 items, so this checkout event will contain